Oh boy. Mm. Well, good evening, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. Week number 9 in the NFL season. The Cowboys have one more game here, basically at the halfway point, and then they have a bye week, and then the stretch run of 8 games that are going to be hell. Change is what Brian Schottenheimer is suggesting is going to happen. Change in philosophy on defense, change in some playing time, change on what they're doing. Seems like Matt Eberflus is very rigid in what he wants to do. And if you think he's going to go anywhere, I kind of said a couple days ago that here's what you got to understand, that Matt Eberflus is not going anywhere. Matt Eberflus is not going anywhere because this is a Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones guy. He's not going to make any waves. They can control him. They hired him. And so they're looking at it and saying, well, we don't have the personnel that Matt needs there. We ended up having to get rid of Micah Parsons so that way we could get the draft capital to kind of restart the defense. We had Diggs, who we got to get rid of him as well. And so we're starting all over. So we don't expect to have much. In other words, we wasted a season. And, I put out a video about the Eagles getting Jair Alexander. And it sounds like I'm probably jealous, because I am jealous. I am jealous, not that I think that Jair Alexander is going to be the player that gets to the Super Bowl. If you look at the numbers, as bad as we think that Diggs has been playing, understand that the Baltimore Ravens and the Cowboys going into last week were like, 31A and 31B. We were both about equally as bad. As bad as I say Diggs was playing, he at least rated at a 56. About 20% higher than Jair Alexander, who's been having a multitude of injuries. And see, here's the thing that they're selling you. Pro Bowler Jair Alexander gets traded from the Ravens to the Eagles, and the Eagles are going crazy. I literally saw a title, Eagles going to the Super Bowl. They trade for Pro Bowler Jair Alexander. Bro, he ain't been that guy the last 3 years. I always tell you guys, there's name players that you recognize that you still believe they're as good as when you understood that they were a good player. But that doesn't hold keys. Some people in their mind, Zeke, man, we should never let Zeke go. But Zeke wasn't Zeke of 2019 in 2020, 21, 22, 23. As people were saying, we should have never let go of Zeke. People get old and injured in the NFL, and things change quickly. They just do. And so when I say I'm jealous about the Eagles getting Jair Alexander, it's not so much that player per se, or Tanks Bigsby, or Brandon Graham coming out of retirement. It's the fact that they are out there trying to do everything to improve the team and are taking risk. You may end up making 4 moves, and maybe only one of them comes out. But if you don't make those 4 moves, then you don't have that one. And that's what bothers me, and I guess that's why I lashed out at Philly 500 in his excitement, because it's like being a kid at Christmas. You the poor kids, you getting socks and underwear. The other kids, the rich kids, they're getting bicycles and big wheels and Lego sets and shit like that. Yeah, I'm old, okay? Yeah, that's kind of toys we used to get. Erector sets. Okay, not erection sets, erector set, because you get steel pieces of metal and screws and you screw it together and you can build shit. Okay, Lincoln Logs. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about? Evil Knievels. You know, you crank that sucker up with the job, and then it goes on through there. Okay, and then I had the dragster. You know, because when he jumped over snake. I'm sorry, I digress. But then there's G.I. Joe, too. You can't forget about G.I. Joe. I even had the G.I. Joe Jeep, okay? And no, they weren't dolls. They were action figures. Action figures. Be that as it may, that's what the Eagles are right now. They're constantly getting new toys and stuff. You know, the rich kids that got so many toys, they just open it up and, okay, open it up, and they don't even play with it. As a poor kid, you got one toy. You open that thing up slowly, and you played with it all Christmas Day. That's us as Cowboys. And I'm sure they're not finished. You know, Howie Roseman, he's on the bye week, the week of ending the trades. Jerry Jones, well, he's doing his night job. He's moonlighting in the gas industry and things. Telling us he needs to do that so he has money to run the Cowboys. So, yeah, change. Now, 105.3 The Fan, don't make me get my belt, Bobby Belt, was saying that there's some tells, and I have to agree with you, about players that are going to be traded. Because you don't want to trade a guy, or plan to trade a guy, and you put him out at practice or in a game and he gets hurt, now you can't trade him. There's guys that you have that have expiring contracts, or teams that look at it and say, we're going to have to start all over, and maybe it's a veteran guy that you look at and say, by the time we start over, we're going to pay him a lot of money, and he's going to get old, so let's get what we can get now to reduce his salary number on our cap and get some capital so we can try and get a group. Because more than anything, what happened with the Cowboys was it was finally the end of the Tom Landry era, and basically all of his guys that were great. And you started the clock over in 1989. In 89 and 90, 91, 92, 93, you amassed all of these young players here together. And they understood the system. They played together. They grew up together. They learned together. And they played together. And that's when they went on that tear of winning those 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. It could have been more had they had the right leadership in coaching them, but Jerry Jones messed it up. And ultimately, that's what you want to do. The Cowboys right now on the precipice of being a young team. I guess the good thing we can say that the Cowboys did when they brought in, Kyler Elam and Kenneth Murray and some of these guys is the fact that they're only on a 1-year deal, and when they go, it's not costing us anything because most of them aren't worth a damn. But what they've got to recognize is, you can only change so much with the personnel that you have that aren't really, really good. Hopefully you could put them in better positions to succeed, and maybe we'll get a little bit better. And I believe they will get better with time. The question will it be in time to save the season? Now, right now, the Cowboys have the opportunity to go through the second half of the season, provided we don't have any major injuries against the Cardinals. And knock on wood, I hope that we don't. Cooper Beebe and Donovan Wilson look like they're going to be good to go for Monday night. Overshone will be back after the bye week, and we may be adding Savon Ravel. Now, maybe those guys inputted into the system. Maybe we get a little bit better as far as our edge rushing by changing. Don't play Sam Williams. Put Sam Williams. We got a new role for Sam Williams. Put him on the end of the bench. Tell him to guard the water bucket and tackle anybody that gets near it, but don't get a personal foul. Okay? Have him play guard and tackle. That's it. Sam Williams, guard and tackle. guard the water bucket, okay? Tackle anybody that gets it, sitting at the end of the bench. That's his new role. And maybe Clowney is a little bit more in shape, kind of like what happened with Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson, when he first got here, wasn't able to do a lot because he didn't know the system, he didn't get much playing time, and he was out of shape. But as the season progressed, he got in shape and ended up playing better, getting 5 sacks. And maybe that'll be Clowney. And maybe Donovan Easley, being the rookie, who's been actually playing better than most people realize, maybe he steps it up and we get somewhat of some pressure on the edge. But make no mistake about it, the Cardinals don't have a great record, but every game they've played close. And so as a Cowboy fan, where we are right now, we can't take anybody for granted. We can't think that anybody is somebody that we're going to be able to beat. Every single game is a dogfight. I don't care if it's the Cardinals or the Raiders or even the Commanders, the Giants. We have to look at every one of these games like we are the underdog because we are. And we'll have to see what happens. So yes, I'm jealous of what the Eagles are doing. I'm tired of listening to Jerry Jones talking about what we might do, or we're sitting around waiting for the phone to ring and everything else. You know, it's mind-blowing, to say the least. Alrighty, good people. Tomorrow is crazy day because we have the Giants at the 1 o'clock slot. We have the Commanders at the Sunday night slot, and we have no Eagles and no Cowboys tomorrow. So we've got that. And as far as ESPN and YouTube TV, whom I have, I'm still not sure exactly what I'm going to do as far as the game. I may try and get myself one of the the antennas. I think ABC still has games on Monday Night Football. I could be wrong about that and find out the hard way. Or I may have to just get the app for a month. This shit, it just burns me up because they're pricing people, especially with this economy the way it is. With, I'm in Northern Virginia where a lot of federal workers were laid off and things and have lost their jobs. And when you see the cost of everything, going up through the roof for us, and the interest rates are so high that young people don't have a chance to even try and buy a house. And here it is, something that we've held near and dear to us just keeps going up more and more and more with no end in sight. I never thought I'd say that being able to watch football is becoming a luxury, but it really is. So that's all I got to say about that. So good people and Eagle fans, I appreciate you guys being here, watching, and being part of the show. And we'll be live streaming starting at 1 o'clock. And I hope to see you there. Peace out, good people. Oh, remember, how could I almost forget? Tell the people you love how much you love them. You might not get the chance, and I love you guys. Peace out.